Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Sorry for being out the last couple of days. I was a little out of commission, but hopefully I'll be able to make it up to you guys in this video. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, you guys know that I typically do a top 5 list of things, whether that's gifts or tips. But since I've been out the last couple of days, I thought it would be a good idea to make it up to you guys by doing a top 10 video this time. So today's video, folks, is going to be a top 10 books for high school cross country and track and field coaches. Quick disclaimer, folks, you can find all of these books in the description box below for this video, and if you click on the links associated to any of these books and choose to purchase them, I do receive a small commission from Amazon. So it doesn't really do much for you guys as far as the link, but it does help me in a small way. So I'm going to break these 10 books down into 4 different levels. The first level being least specific to high school cross country and track, and then the last level 4 is going to be most specific to high school cross country and track. So the books in level 1 have no direct correlation to sports, while level 2 is a general idea for all sports, and then level 3 is specific to running, and finally level 4 is specific to high school running. Also, for each book, I will provide a brief synopsis or Spark Notes version from my perspective or from my own words, followed by a reading from either the back of the book or the inside flap of a book directly from the author to give you guys an idea of what they believe the book is about. So without further ado, let's get into our books from level 1. Now, first up, we have Pema Chodron's Comfortable with Uncertainty. The reason why I like this book so much for coaches is that given the circumstances we're currently living in with COVID and the pandemic, a lot of high school age kids right now are, suffering in the mental health department. And, although this book has many teachings on, reasons to be appreciative and not live in fear of all the uncertainty that you're going through, I just really like the idea that coaches should also be cognizant of that, both for themselves, but also the athletes that they're dealing with. Another kind of cool feature about this book is that it's 115 pages or so, and it's 108 different sort of musings or ideas towards ridding yourself of fear of the unknown. So you don't necessarily have to start from page 1 and go all the way through. You can start really on any page, because each teaching is no more than a page and a half, so you can just kind of go back and forth between pages and just kind of learn as you go, or really read it in any order that you want to. When our attitude towards fear becomes more welcoming and inquisitive, a fundamental shift occurs. Instead of spending our lives tensing up, we learn that we can connect with the freshness of the moment and relax. The practice is compassionate inquiry into our moods, emotions, and thoughts. Compassionate inquiry into our reactions and strategies is fundamental to the process of awakening. We are encouraged to be curious about the neurosis that's bound to kick in when our coping mechanisms start falling apart. The other book in level 1 is Alan Watts's The Wisdom of Insecurity. Now, this book is pretty similar to Pema Chodron's book in that the main lessons derive from Eastern philosophy and Eastern school of thought, in that, don't waste so much time worrying about what's going to go on in the future, or, regretting what happened in the past. It's more just about living in the moment and being appreciative of everything that's going on and all the good that you have currently. The only real reason why I would put this book above Pema Chodron's book is that it is a typical American book, in that it's got, chapters and it's structured, and unlike Pema Chodron's book where, you can really start at any page and kind of go for your own individual journey. We live in an age of unprecedented anxiety, spending all our time trying to anticipate and plan for the future, and to lamenting the past. We forget to enjoy the here and now. We are so concerned with tomorrow, we forget to enjoy today. Drawing from Eastern philosophy and religion, Alan Watts explains it is only by acknowledging what we do not and cannot know that we can learn anything truly worth knowing. In The Wisdom of Insecurity, he shows us how, in order to lead a fulfilling life, we must embrace the present and live fully in the now. Next up, we've got our level 2 books. Next up, we have David Epstein's Range, Why Generalists Triumph in a Specialized World. The reason why I like this book so much is because it challenges the popular belief that you need to specialize at an early age in order to become an expert at something, when in reality it's a lot easier to be a jack of all trades and be versatile growing up, so that once you get older and you want to specialize in something, you will have a wider range of knowledge in a lot of different areas, and having a lot of different experiences which will help mold your expertise in a particular field. And that message that the book is trying to convey is super important nowadays at the high school level, because so many coaches are telling athletes that they have to pick a sport by the time they're sophomores, and I just think it's a really counterintuitive approach if you're trying to develop the best athletes as possible. I think having the versatility and having different types of training and allowing your various muscle groups to improve is only going to make them a more dynamic and explosive athlete, and it's also going to help prevent injuries in areas or parts of their body that they aren't accustomed to training if they only specialize in one particular sport. I also think, unfortunately, that when we do resume activities on campus and we're back to a supposed normal, that coaches are going to have an even tighter leash on their athletes, and they're going to be even more hesitant to allow kids to be doing multiple sports, because they are afraid that they've already lost 6 to 9 to 12 months of potential development, and that it sets back their approach or their goals that they had in their own minds. And I think it's really important that when we do go back to normal, it'll just be about getting kids back into the flow of things and letting them enjoy the experience of high school sports. Plenty of experts argue that anyone who wants to develop a skill, play an instrument, or lead their field should start early, focus intensely, and rack up as many hours of deliberate practice as possible. If you dabble or delay, you'll never catch up to the people who got a head start. But a closer look at research on the world's top performers, from professional athletes to Nobel laureates, shows that early specialization is the exception, not the rule. Next up, we have The Captain Class by Sam Walker. So this book is as much of an research study as it is a narrative in what made up some of the best teams in sports history, and the one main connecting point to all of them were that they had a phenomenal captain. And the book talks about how the captains usually weren't their star player. They weren't even considered the most vocal. They just fit the mold, or they created the mold and the culture of the team to the best of their abilities. I really like this book for coaches, because once you have your culture and the values and expectations set for your individual team, it's important to go out and look for athletes who are going to fit the mold and who are going to represent those traditions and those expectations and values to the best of their abilities. Several years ago, Sam Walker set out to answer one of the most hotly debated questions in sports. What are the greatest teams of all time? He devised a formula, then applied it to thousands of teams from leagues all over the world, from the NBA to the English Premier League to Olympic field hockey. When he was done, he had a list of the 16 most dominant teams in history. At that point, he became obsessed with another, more complicated question. What did these freak teams have in common? And the last book in Level 2 is the College Bound Sports High School Athlete's Guide to College Sports. This book offers a bunch of tips and resources for helping your student athletes navigate their path into potentially competing at the collegiate level. And, I think this book is actually more of a collaborative read and research than an individual read. And once you understand sort of the approaches and guidelines that they set forward, it'll be that much easier for you and your athlete to find the perfect situation for them. So this book was published in 2005, before the advent of social media, so it would be kind of interesting to see how the writers of this book would take into the account the rise in social media and how they would change some of their tips or their guidelines when helping athletes navigate through all of that. But I think it is something to take into the account as you're reading it.
This is a guide for high school athletes who wish to leverage their talent to get into the best possible college of their choice. In addition to ranking schools according to value, academics, best housing, and even hot and trendy, the book provides a step-by-step plan for an athlete to present him or herself to a wide array of possible colleges.
And now for level 3. First up in level 3, we've got the Wharton Stretch Book, written by Jim and Phil Wharton. This book here is basically a walkthrough of kind of the new school thought of stretching for athletes nowadays. It's got 59 stretches for supposedly over 55 different sports. Now, I don't know if there's actually 55 different sports in the world, but it's just really an updated version or an updated school of thought for athletes to become more dynamic, allow them to prevent injuries better, and really just, a way to increase flexibility and mobility and dexterity. I've seen many high school, college, and professional cross-country and track and field coaches swear by this book, especially Sean Brosnan out of Newbury Park. And I mean, hey, he just coached the boys NXN National Championship team from 2019. So, I mean, if it can work for national champions, it could probably work for you.
Whether you're a serious competitor or a weekend warrior, you know proper stretching before and after your workout can improve your performance, increase your flexibility, and help prevent injury. But did you know that the traditional way of stretching, lock your knees, hold, hurt, hold longer, actually makes muscles tighter and more prone to injury? There's a new way to stretch, active isolated stretching, and with the Wharton Stretch Book, the method used successfully by scores of professional, amateur, and Olympic athletes is now available to everyone.
Next book from level 3 is the Simple Marathon Training book from good old Jay Johnson. Now, obviously, I don't think marathon training is what high school age athletes need, given the fact that they're only racing really up to 5K, and even as little as 800 meters if they're a distance track athlete. But some of the concepts and ideas in the book really make a lot of sense, mainly the chapters on being efficient with your time and how important recovery is for all athletes, not just marathoners, but high school age athletes also.
Do you dream of running a great marathon, though your busy life and obligations make the training commitments difficult for you? Do you suffer from injuries that put you on the sidelines when you desire to race? The 20-week Simple Marathon Training System can prepare you for marathon success. With a modern outlook on the training schedules, innovative exercises for injury prevention, and maximizing time spent training, the Simple Marathon Training System prepares you to toe the line with the confidence to run your best marathon.
And the last book in level 3 is the Daniels Running Formula, the 3rd edition, written by good old Dr. Jack Daniels. Personally, I think this book is great for coaches of all levels, whether it's your first day coaching high school cross country or if you've won multiple national championships. It really just has so many lessons for coaches and runners, frankly, of all levels, whether that's helping an athlete build an aerobic base or it's helping you take into account altitude training and all of the various paces and adjustments for times that you have to consider. It's really just an excellent resource for you to grow into the art of coaching.
Get in the best shape of your running career with the book Runner's World magazine calls the best training book for runners. Premier running coach and exercise physiologist Dr. Jack Daniels provides his highly acclaimed, research-tested, and results-proven VDOT formula to guide you through training at exactly the right intensity to run stronger, longer, and faster. Whether training or competing, use Daniels' running formula to get the results you're seeking from every workout and in every race.
And our last 2 books from level 4. Book number 1 on the final level, level 4, is Amazing Racers, written by Mark Bloom. This book takes readers through the national powerhouse run of Fayetteville Manlius, or FM in short, from 2004 to I believe 2011 or 2012, and it highlights Bill Harris's rise as a coach and how he developed the principles of a Stoughton lifestyle. Stoughton was basically a term he coined, combining Spartan and Stoic values, and how he helped develop the culture at FM, and how once his athletes bought in, and they bought in all the way, they became national championship contenders year in and year out. So I really enjoyed this book because it just highlighted the idea that a coach like Bill Harris could just come up with this idea of Stoughton principles. I mean, he just combined a Spartan work ethic and a Stoic lifestyle, and had athletes buy into this idea of living cleanly and doing everything for your teammates and respecting the grind of the sport of distance running. And once he was able to get enough athletes to buy into that, all that led to was national championships. So it's just really insane to me that an idea that one coach might consider like lame or cheesy, for another coach that is the essence or the secret to life in terms of becoming a national powerhouse.
The inspiring untold story about a group of remarkable athletes and their groundbreaking coach who live and train in startling ways and are redefining running excellence in the United States. From adopting Stoughton values that combine the rigors of a Spartan and Stoic lifestyle, to delving into teenage developmental psychology and gender blindness in training, Amazing Racers is a must-read for millions of runners and the millions more who strive for higher achievement in all aspects of their life.
And finally, we have my favorite high school cross-country coaches book, Tradition, Class, Pride by Ben Rosario and Jim Linares. Now, I love this book for a multitude of reasons, but the main one has to be the fact that all of the lessons and ideas and tips that they gave, they left it out for the general public at the first start of a chapter, and then they gave you a specific example with Coach Jim Linares and how he utilized all these tips and strategies with the high school that he works at, St. Louis High School in Missouri, where Ben Rosario was one of his runners back in the mid to late 90s, I believe. It's great for coaches of all levels if you have absolutely no experience, or if maybe it's your first year as a head coach, or maybe you're moving to a different state after coaching in one state for a number of years, or if you've coached and won on the national level. It just allows the reader to learn so much more about how to be the best high school coach that you can be. If you can only pick one book out of this list of 10 and you want to improve as a distance running coach, Tradition, Class, Pride. I'm telling you guys, it's the way to go.
Coaching is far more than stringing together the right combination of X's and O's, particularly in a team sport as unpredictable as cross country. It's about teaching your athletes the skills they need to be successful on and off the race course. It's about helping them improve not only as runners, but also as people. Whether your program has a long history of success, or you're a new coach trying to get kids ready to take the starting line for the first time, the secrets, stories, and strategies Jim and Ben share in this book are invaluable, and provide a proven roadmap for putting your cross-country team on the path towards building its own dynasty.
So that's going to do it here for me, folks, on my top 10 books for high school cross-country coaches. If you like the material and you enjoyed the content, feel free to like and subscribe. And tell your grandpa to tell his butler to tell his nurse to subscribe to this video. And then in the meantime, catch you in the next one.